Hello and welcome to another episode of the Good Boxing Podcast with your host Josh Size. And again, as always, have a great episode for you. I have been hearing a lot of complaints and a little bit of a mixed bag of emotions about the Rollie Romero versus Gervonta Tank Davis fight that's going to take place in a few weeks. Now, a lot of people feel that Rollie doesn't have a shot. Rollie doesn't deserve a title shot at Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Tank Davis is going to steamroll him, knock him out. And they're actually giving Gervonta Davis some flack for taking on this opponent. Clearly, they rather see him fight someone else. And look, at 135, 140, 130, even, you have big names that Gervonta Tank Davis can fight. And Gervonta Tank Davis has gotten some flack for his overall resume. I've been someone that has capitulated the fact that Gervonta Tank Davis has a little bit of a softer resume than other people at 135, considering he is the older of the kings in the division, for the exception of Lomachenko at 135. Now, I will sit here and say Gervonta Tank Davis needs to get a pass on this fight. And the reason why I say that is bravo to the WBA. The WBA heeded the remarks of a lot of fans and people in general when it comes to boxing. People complain that boxing has too many belts, and the WBA, and its, I don't want to say infinite wisdom, but in an effort to actually legitimize being a champion, has decided to consolidate the belts. It happened with Yordenis Ugas. Ugas wanted to fight Errol Spence to kind of unify. And no, they said, hey, look, we're consolidating the belts. You need to fight my WBA regular champion or WBA interim champion, because they're trying to get rid of all the distinctions of champions. And it dilutes the value of the belt, and it makes the fans feel like you're fighting for fake glory. And in this case, the WBA is sticking by its guns and doing the same at 135. Teofimo Lopez is the WBA super champion. Gervonta Tank Davis at 135 is the WBA regular champion. Now, think about it. Rolando Romero won a belt. He won a belt, which is, quite frankly, in my opinion, another belt out there that shouldn't be there. He's the interim champion. And I know for a fact Rolando Romero fought his way up, fought Jackson Marinez, and then knocked out his last opponent to win the belt. So say what you want. Rolando Romero earned the distinction to be the interim champion. Actually, I think it was 2 fights ago, but I'll look back. But I know Rolando Romero is the interim champion. So, in my opinion, I feel like this fight actually has tremendous implications. And I mean that from the standpoint of not only Rolando Romero deserves a shot at a regular belt, because if you look at the hierarchy, it would be similar to the WBC. You have the WBC franchise champion, you have the WBC regular champion, then you also have the silver titleist or whatever it's called. And in my opinion, in the WBA, that's what Rolando Romero is. Ryan Garcia in the WBC is the silver champion. Devin Haney's the regular champion. Then you got Teofimo Lopez, right? So if you want to get a shot at the bigger belt, you have to fight your way up. And in my opinion, Rolando Romero, I know he won't fight Tio, or maybe he would fight Tio because they are friends. But at the end of the day, this is boxing. And Shakur Stevenson fought Jamel Herring. Friends fight. So who knows? But if you really look at it, not only for the first time does a fight make sense in terms of belts. Gervonta Tank Davis gets someone who has a belt. It's almost like a mandatory. He gets an opponent that is going to sell the fight, because Rolando Romero is a colorful character, and you can't deny that, right? Gervonta Tank Davis and Rolando Romero are promoted by Mayweather Promotions, which scratches that itch. Mayweather said that he only wants Gervonta Tank Davis to fight people in his stable in order to keep all the money in-house. Leonard Ellaby has also said the same thing. You're continuously promoting Gervonta Tank Davis as a pay-per-view star I do think this fight's going to do well for numbers. Rolando Romero is going to talk a bunch of shit. He does have knockout power. I know he doesn't have the same skill set as Gervonta Tank Davis and has fought nowhere near good competition as Gervonta Tank Davis. Even though Jackson Mariñez, I got to sit here and say he's probably on the level of a Barrios, right? Where he was a solid 130 pounder. I thought he lost, right? I thought Jackson Mariñez won, but he did fight someone that had some really good skills because Jackson Mariñez fought Richard Comey, and while he lasted, fought pretty well. So you can say that. But if you look at the resume, Gervonta Tank Davis has fought Leo Santa Cruz, Mario Barrios, and it's going to continue, right? He's fighting Rolando Romero. I personally think Gervonta Tank Davis is going to win, but it should be good while it lasts. So I think what people are also missing, and this is why this fight is actually very, very important for Gervonta Tank Davis. This Five Kings narrative is great for boxing. It's great for 135. It's why people are buzzing about Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis. All of these guys eventually fighting each other. It's a very unique time where you have a bunch of good, young, potential champions that could square off one another just like the old days. You even have Shakur Stevenson, who just had a dominant performance last night and could potentially be a 135 and throw himself in the mix. And I think he actually would be one of the best in the division if he did move up. However, what people aren't realizing about this fight is the next person becomes the mandatory for, wait for it, the 135 WBA super champion. He would become a mandatory for the super champion. I'm not sure if they're going to make Teo defend or vacate. But in my opinion, I feel like if Teo's really serious about moving up, I think he would vacate the WBA championship in order to move up to 140 to fight Josh Taylor or a bigger name or Devin Haney even, right? Where Gervonta wins or Rolando Romero wins, I think there would be a rematch if Rollie won. But if Rollie wins or Davis, guess who becomes the mandatory? So this is actually a big fight. One, it has implications for the WBA. Two, Gervonta is actually going to be in there with someone that could potentially pressure him and is going to look to pressure him because we know at the end of the day, Rolando Romero is not going to outbox Tank Davis. Only way he has a shot is if he catches Davis with something, and Davis is probably going to hit him with something as well. So this fight, I know they think he's cherry picking, but I actually think it's a good fight. It's a good fight for the belts. It's good to get rid of all the controversy and all the confusion when it comes to belts and to consolidate there to be one true champion in a division where you don't have people like Devin Haney saying, oh, Teofimo Lopez isn't undisputed. Because why? Because you have the regular belt? Same thing could be said with Gervonta Tank Davis. Oh, Davis has the regular belt. So is Teo not the champion? Right? I don't know. It just takes away some of the confusion. So this is why this Gervonta Tank Davis fight is actually really, really big. And I think it's a good fight for boxing. I think it's gonna be a good fight. The build up, I know people are gonna think that Gervonta Tank Davis is gonna knock Rollie out. He probably will, but I think it's a good fight. It consolidates everything for the WBA. It allows Gervonta actually to be in the conversation of maybe fighting Teofimo. They could start pitching that narrative saying, oh, if Teo doesn't fight me, he's scared, etc. So look, cut Gervonta some slack. He's not the one in charge of his career. And honestly, I think this was a great move by both Mayweather promotions, Floyd Mayweather, Gervonta Tank Davis, and potentially even Rollie, because if Rollie shocks the world, his stock goes up and now forget about it. So yeah, that's the episode for today. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Rollie is going to lose? I do, but would Gervonta Tank Davis being the mandatory for Teofimo Lopez basically accelerate his credentials on 135? Because if he's a super champion, Teo vacates or actually has to fight Gervonta, how good of a fight would that be? We would actually get what we want because Teo's looking at what? If he's trying to stay at 135, he's not going to do it with one belt, right? If he's not undisputed, why would he stay at 135? Doesn't make any sense. So you put yourself in the conversation, you make yourself a mandatory, and then the guy has to move and fight you. I mean, he has to get rid of Gambosos. I don't think Devin Haney is going to actually petition 135 to actually make Teofimo defend his title. So I could see Tank Davis versus Teo versus I could see Tank Davis fighting Teo before Devin Haney fights Teo, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know. Let me know what you guys think.